going on, guys? Welcome back to Ball Hour. Hopefully you guys are all right, okay, and blessed, during this lockdown period. We got a new guest, new episode for you this week. Hopefully you've been enjoying the last ones. Make sure you go watch it, like, comment, subscribe, turn on your notifications so that you know when our video drops. But yeah, man, let's get straight into it. Introducing our guest, Ali Mustafa, bro. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks, man. Thanks for having me on. I watch it every week, so...
It's nice to have you on, man. First off, I want to say congratulations with your deal with Crystal Palace, man.
Thank you.
That's really big. I'm so happy for you. Could you just shed some light to the audience at home on your deal?
Yeah. So the way the Palace thing happens, obviously we've got a football academy, normally like based in North London, but and Palace are South London based. So they reached out to us and said they'd want like not a main contact in North, but it's like a grassroots type academy that they can link up with, get first option on our players. Like we go down there, we play them every 6 weeks. Obviously we haven't been because of COVID, but it runs to the end of this season, and then hopefully for next season. And it's just a good thing for not only for our players, like it gives them the opportunity, but like our coaches get to go down there, learn from their coaches, and just it's a nice little partnership.
That's so amazing to hear. And for me, I want to know, like, how did Pro Elite Academy start?
Yeah, wow. It started 4 years ago. Listen, I've been playing football my whole life, coaching my whole life. My dad's like run football clubs like since I was a baby. And it's always been in my life. And I started coaching at 16 whilst playing, and I realised like, if I'm honest, like I love coaching probably just as much, if not more, than playing. So I realised that like, as I was getting older, and then I was coaching here, there, and everywhere, and I realised that no clubs, no academies were doing it how I wanted to do it, or how I saw like the way kids should be coached or whatever. So I just started it. If I'm honest, it started with like 2 kids, me and my brother as coaches. Like it was just it started off as a hobby, and then it grew into a business. Now we're on like 700 something kids. 28 coaches.
That's massive. That's really good. The content on your Instagram page looks decent. Guys, if you want to head over down to Pro League, get your child into Crystal Palace hopefully one day, make sure you go follow them on the Instagram page. But one question I had is what do you see, like, what was it that made you thought I want to coach it differently? Because you said you've seen coaching not the way you wanted to. So what's the way you want to do it, and what was it that was missing for you that you thought, I want to coach?
Well, when you go and obviously like, we've all played football like at different levels or whatever, and what you see is like normally there's a lot of dads coaching their kids' teams, which is fine if their dads are qualified to coach, but a lot of the times they're not. It's just like a grassroots teams will be set up, and it's like, and my dad was one of them dads, do you know what I mean? And it's like they're just there, like they're coaching their kid and all the other kids.
Sure the captain and all of that.
Yeah, well, I was the opposite, bro. He never used to play me, but I swear to God. And then
your dad not play you? What are you not?
Nah, listen. You know it was. He wanted to be the guy that was like, he didn't want anyone to know that I was his son.
Okay, so I respect that.
Even if I was balling, he wouldn't play me. Or he would play me, but then he'd take me. I'd be first sub, and I'd be looking at him like, what's going on? We'd get home, and I'd be like, what happened today? Like it just happened. But now my dad's the inspiration for me. But the way I saw it was like, there was no one actually focusing on developing the kids, and it sounds like cliche, but it wasn't. Like people were trying to get results at under 9 so they can get a trophy, and it's like, is that for your own ego? Is it for the kids? Like what's it about? So we wanted to set, when I say we, like it's not just me, like our team's amazing and everyone's got the same vision, and it's like we wanted to make sure it's player first, no matter what level they're at. You could be a beginner, you could be trying to make it in an academy or whatever. You've got to be challenged and developed every single session that you come to us. So like going back to like a more football answer, like we try and like make sure our players stay on the ball for as long as possible. So under 7, under 8, under 9, if I'm being honest, we're not trying to make them pass the ball. Like it's all like 1v1 stuff, 1v1 dribbling, 1v1 battles, like whether you're playing in the defensive end, midfield, up front. Like we just literally coach them to stay on the ball for as long as possible. All our sessions are based on dribbling, trying to take people on 1v1, trying to like impact the game, make stuff happen. And I didn't really see that across other clubs and stuff. And like I've done little bits of coaching at like different clubs, like in terms of like, let's say in the Prem, like in their academies, like shadow coaching, volunteering when I was like first starting out. And that's the sort of stuff that they're looking for. They're looking for like game changers and players that will come on and impact games. And when you're not getting that coaching at your grassroots level, and then you go there, you could get like swallowed up by the environment. So we wanted to bring that environment to like the grassroots level. And yeah, so we focus on like loads of that. Like every single player has to be comfortable on the ball. Every single player has to, like, we even like sometimes the parents might get a bit like, oh, like, are you sure you want him to dribble when he's playing at the back? And we're like, yeah, like take the striker on and then make something happen, or take the striker on and then make a pass, or make the right decision. But we let the kids make the decisions, man. Like we let them like work it out themselves.
To hear, man. That's so beautiful to hear. But one thing I really enjoyed hearing was the way you said that your dad is your inspiration.
Nah, he is, yeah.
There's one thing I heard in football that says, well, it was a story, but it was how like a kid that goes to play for an academy team on trial, one of the coach must have asked who brought him, and the coach kept on asking who brought him, and the answer kept on changing so many times, and then the coach ended up saying he's not gonna make it, and he didn't make it. So my question now to you is, how important is it to have your parents around, watching the kids playing football, like being there, the kids seeing their parents there? Because I can't lie, I can only count on one hand how many times my parents have watched me, and that's twice, 3 times.
Yeah, like I'm lucky, man. Like my mum and my dad, like they love football. My brother plays, I play, well, I've played, I still play, but you know what I mean? But listen, it's important, but it's whether it's like, and I've heard that in academies as well. Yeah. Like they try and make sure you come from a good home, or you got someone to be able to bring you to training or whatever. But I think it's just as important to have, maybe if you don't have parents that come and watch you, like, because not every kid's going to have parents that come watch you. 100%. If you don't, then you have a coach that believes in you and will be there. Like, for example, we've got loads of kids that are like talented or whatever, but their parents might not come and watch all of their games. Yeah. But when they go on trial, I'm there at every trial just as a support. Like, I'll just go and watch. Like, we had 2 kids last week go down to Cambridge, and Cambridge it's not close, but it's not far. It's like in the middle. It's like an hour and 15 or whatever.
Still a journey for those kids.
It's a journey. Yeah. So kids are under 9, under 10. So it was like, all right, their mums are going to take them. But I made sure me and a couple of other my coaches went down, and we were there as a friendly face. It's a familiar face. Like, I think it's important that whether it's your parents or you're not, that the kids have like at least a coach that believes in them, that supports them on their journey, whether they're with you or not. Like, I go and watch kids that used to play for us and they're not playing for us anymore. I'll go and watch them. Like, for me, it's just like, you're part of their life. And if you're making it easier for them on that day, then that's going to only help them. Like, my dream is to, in 30 years, to be sitting down watching the Prem and a kid that's played for my academy is playing. Like, that's my dream. So
that's beautiful, man.
If I can help out, like, that's what I'm saying. If they have the parents there supporting them or not, they've got to have someone. So the coach can be that someone. Do you know what I mean?
So would you say that your dad was like your motivation to like start your own football academy?
Yeah, 100%.
That's beautiful, man.
Yeah.
Father passing it down to the son.
We see football differently though. So like, listen, my dad's an old school non-league coach. Do you know what I mean?
Gosh, what, Channel Ball?
If it was up to him, percentages. That's what, you know what I mean? Playing percentages. But listen, my dad.
Don't be teaching those kids that at a young age. Channel.
You know what's funny? Like, sometimes my dad will come down and try and coach one of the kids' teams. Like, he'll say, "Oh, if you need a coach, like, I'll come and do a Sunday morning session." And we always we banter it or whatever. That as soon as he turns up, he's just sending the kids for a lap, and that's just him.
That's just old-fashioned.
We grew up just doing laps, but listen, at the end of the day, I saw him do it. Different to what we do with Pro Elite. Yeah. But he set up a team for not just me. Like, there's loads of boys in our team that I'm still like lifelong friends with. Do you know what I mean? And you realize that you create these relationships along the way, like playing in football. Like, you meet people in football,
100.
And they become like
your friends,
family. Yeah, like they do. And it's like, I saw him do that, and I was like, this is what I want to do one day. Yeah, I might do it differently, but the fact that he's done it at a different like, he's taken we were under 9s when we first started, all the way up to under 18s, then turned them semi-pro and played like Saturday football. I might not go down that route. I might just stay in youth football. But the fact that he done it, like, it made it easier for me to make that transition to, I actually want to start my own thing. And I've got that sounding board there. I can just go say to him, listen, I want to do this. What do you think? Yeah. Normally, most of the time, he'll just say no. And then we'll take it from there. But
old-fashioned.
I'm lucky there.
But what consists of like owning and managing your own academy? What's it like on a day-to-day basis?
It's different every day. That's why I love it. Like, it's different because when I first started the academy, I was doing a lot of the stuff myself, and I had a full-time job when I started it. So I'd be working until like 6 o'clock in the evening, like in my job, and then I'd come home
straight to training.
Yeah, and even when we didn't have training, I'd come home and I'd try and grow the academy. So like working in the evening on my laptop, trying to make sense of how to run an academy.
Yeah.
And you work it out as you go along. Like nowadays, it's a bit more organized. Like we've got an office, got people that work like in doing different roles. Like we've got, for example, you comment on social media. We've got like a social media girl that runs it.
By the way,
Thank
guys.
you.
Page is
Appreciate
honestly one of the best pages I've seen in terms of a service for young players trying to get involved in football. Like details, information. Oh, it's beautiful. I must say.
Appreciate it. Shout out Christina for that one. She runs our socials. But
that's beautiful.
So yeah, like day to day for me is like managing people, like our coaches, managing the people that, like, for example, our social media team, we've got like a head of coaching, and managing that, like making sure everyone's not doing their jobs, but making sure everyone's doing the best thing for the kid. On top of that, dealing with the parents day in, day out. My biggest job nowadays is like running the digital marketing. So we run loads of adverts, Instagram adverts, Facebook adverts, YouTube adverts, Google adverts, trying to grow the academy that way. And I focus on like getting partnerships in, getting sponsorships in, like trying to grow it. And one other thing, like we're basically going to franchise our academy to hopefully have like people that want to run pro elite in their own area, whether it's South London, whether it's Manchester, Birmingham, whatever. So I work on like the growth of the academy, like day to day. But then we also have like people that run, like for example, my brother is one of the best toddler coaches I've seen. Yeah. But now he's like the head of coaching. So he's in charge of all the coaches' hours, setting the coaching philosophy, setting the framework, producing the session plans like on the video so they can see it. So there's people doing their own stuff. But my biggest thing is like growing it and managing the people, which is managing people is harder than doing anything else.
I wanted to go into like you see how you've got the young kids now, and everyone's kind of pushing young kids to be the next thing. You see lots of dads taking their kids to park, thinking they're the next Terry Henry, trying to get them in Arsenal, Tottenham. Basically getting Project Mbappe on the way. With that being said, for me, like we spoke about on the show previously, how sometimes I feel like it's dangerous to start pushing kids to strive to become professional players at such a young age, because you're taking the fun from it. One thing I wanted to ask is, do you focus on the kids' mental health, considering there's not enough mental guidance in the game?
Yeah, well, what you just said there, like, there's you see some parents like push their kids, and pushing your kids is fine as long as your kid wants to be pushed.
Yeah.
Like the moment the kid doesn't want to, isn't having fun playing football, as a parent, like I don't have kids, so I can't comment. But the way I see it is, you should stop pushing them, because kids, they might feel pressured. They might feel like, oh, this is my dad's dream, it's not mine. Or there's loads of different factors into it. So like the fun aspect, as much as you're pushing them to develop, the fun aspect has to be there. Like the moment a kid stops having fun, they need to have a little break from football. Now, talking about like the mental health stuff, we talk about it all the time in our academy. It's like, and we say to the parents, when they go home with you or when they get in the car with you, that should be that their release. Because, all right, they're getting pushed at training. They don't want to get in the car and hear you say, why did you do that? Why didn't you do that? Like, we've had it growing up. Do you know what I mean? Like, as soon as you get in the car, it's like, you made this mistake. You didn't do that. It's like, all right. If there's no balance between that, that's where kids might struggle. So we always say to the kids, like, one, we're pushing you, but we're also here for you to come and talk to us. Yeah. Like, we ask them how their day is at school. Like, it sounds stupid, but it's like
that's huge. Just asking little questions goes a long way.
Yeah, it's like you've got to make sure like the kid's all right before they're coming to play football. Like, and sometimes they might not be comfortable at home. If they're not comfortable at home, they have to be comfortable at our sessions. If they're getting pushed at our sessions, they need to be making sure that they can go home, and they might want to switch off from football. Like, every kid's different, so it's like it's finding out you just got to find out what works for that kid. Some kids need to be pushed like all the time. Some kids just need like a little arm on their shoulder and just let them know that they're doing all right. Do you know what I mean? And working with kids is difficult, because like they're like sponges and they'll take on everything that you say. But it's like you got to be careful then, because you don't know what's happening in their home life. You don't know what's happening at school.
Touching on pushing on kids to academies and that, which one do you think you will take more like satisfaction from? Building, we've asked this before, having a young player go from your academy to becoming a professional, or having a young kid just, becoming a better human being in life?
Listen, better human being without a doubt. Like, obviously, I'd love for a kid to go. I love it when our kids go to academies. Like, don't get me wrong. Yeah. But what we say is that we don't just have kids that are trying to make it. We also have kids that maybe, one, they've never kicked the ball before, and then we turn them into a player that can actually go to school and get picked. Do you know what I mean?
Okay,
Or it's like if a kid comes and we raise their confidence levels, it's like when they first come, they didn't want to get involved, and now they're leading demos or whatever. That's as much as a win as it is when I get a call from a Spurs or something saying, "Oh, like, I want one of your kids." Yeah, we celebrate that, but we also celebrate the other ones where it's like we had one kid, which is like the kid didn't talk, like he had like speech difficulties and stuff like that, and the mum was sending him like to speech therapy courses, whatever, and then during one of our sessions, he just started talking to the coach, and the mum said to the coach, "By the way, that is the first time he's spoken to anyone apart from me. We've tried speech therapy, blah, blah, blah. He must be so comfortable like with you or in these sessions that he felt comfortable enough to talk." Like for us, like that was like, wow. Like that's what we do it for, as much as when we get a call from a club saying we want one of your under 7s or under 8s to come and play for us. Like they're both wins, man, in different ways. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear that. So what do you look for? Depending on position, what do you look for in a player that's like, oh, he's a player, or he's that, because obviously not many young players know what positions they are. Everyone just wants to be a so-called striker, but how do you know that this player is a centre back and that player is a centre mid? Like, what do you look for in players that's like, oh, he stand out?
Yeah, I think it's like that's a 2-part question. One, when we say what we look for when a player's stand out is their ability to go 1v1 no matter where they are on the pitch. Like I said that earlier, but it's like that is so important for us, because that's what when we've spoken to clubs, that's what they're looking for. Like a player that can make stuff happen in a match and can go 1v1, like, and is fearless to go 1v1. Like I bang on about being good 1v1, but for me, that's the most important thing that we look for. It might not be the right thing, but it's our way. Do you know what I mean? Like that's what we look for. Be comfortable on the ball. We will never tell a kid off for going 1v1, even if they receive the ball from the goalkeeper. So that makes them stand out. When we say positions, like we don't have set positions up until like, let's say under 10, under 11, maybe even older. Like we try and rotate them around because kids' positions change. Like they should be comfortable. And what we say is like, when you get older and you start playing, like let's say us, for example, they need to be able to receive the ball in different areas of the pitch and be comfortable in it. If they've only in youth football received the ball in the final third, if they get moved to fullback in 11 aside, they're going to be, it's like learning a whole new game. Yeah, do you know what I mean? So we rotate them around their position, see which one sticks, see which one does well. And we have a rule where it's like they have to play 40% of the time, they have to be comfortable in their own age group, doing well. Then it's like 40% of the time they need to be playing below their level, so they're just like smashing goals in or whatever. And then 20% of the time they need to be drowning, so we play them up. So it's like in those periods where they're playing up, it's like they might have a terrible time, but it's like we dip them in and out of that. So it's like, for example, we've got one kid at under 7s that's getting looked at by every club under the sun. He's unbelievable. He's got like 28 goals in 6 games at under 7s. He's a joke. Yeah. He's an absolute joke.
Man said Messi, Project Mbappe.
But honestly, he's a joke. So what we're trying to do now is like, that's on us to be able to, one, keep him engaged, but try and develop him. So we play him at under 7. We can't play him any younger because it would be ridiculous.
Unfair.
But we play him at under 7 for like majority of the time. But then what we do is we'll dip him in and out of the under 8s. And it's like he'll go in, it might be difficult for him. It's like, all right, well, then he comes back in and he's like, he's comfortable again. So it's about making him comfortable, uncomfortable, and then bringing them back in and making them comfortable again. And I think that's what grows players quicker than if you're just there like scoring 50 goals a season every season. It's like you got to try and have a couple of games where you're just like, I have no idea what's going on in this game. And that's what we do with the kids.
Nah, the way you expose them to that very early is very good. Very good in the way you do it. Some people just throw you in the deep end and leave you, but I like the way you manage that. But looking on your social media, like I said, beautiful page once again.
Thank you.
One thing I found really, really nice especially is capturing that there's actually young girls at your sessions. And for me, that's huge considering the way we're trying to grow the women's game as well. 100%. How important is it for you that you shed light on the women's game to, young boys as well, to make them aware that women do play football, and also parents that football's not just a man's game, it's also a girl's game as well. How important is that for you?
That's just as important as anything else for us. Like we got I think we were on like maybe 350 girls in our academy across the age groups. But obviously we start really, really young. So like, let's say 18 months to 3, there's loads of girls that play. And it's just like, in our toddler groups, it's not a lot of football. It's just like they're learning colours, numbers or whatever. But what we try and do is we've got a lot of girl coaches to act as the role models for the girls coming through. And we've also added like an under-13s girls team, like an all-girls team that compete in the league. And it's just like, role models in girls football is so important. Like, as much as we could be like trying to get as many girls in as possible, when a girl comes in and if they're just looking up and it's loads of guys coaching them, they don't see themselves.
Yeah,
you got to see someone that represents you. Do you know what I mean? So it's like that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to like show that there's a pathway for girls, whether you want to play, whether you want to coach, as long as you like the sport, there shouldn't be any obstacles stopping you. Like, girls football, I don't understand why I do understand, but it isn't as respected as much as men's football.
And why is that? That's one question I was going to ask you next. Why do you feel like women's game's not respected as much as the men's one?
I think it's just always been like a stigma attached to girls playing football.
It's not a women's sport.
Yeah, and I don't understand why. Like, we've had, and I'm not joking. We've had some girls playing for us that we've been like, bro, she could come and come and do a session in our men's team. Like, technically brilliant. Do you know what I mean? Like wow. Like, we've had so many like wow girls players come in and play for us, where the coaches will come back after and be like, "Did you see what she done today?"
Yeah.
It's like some ridiculous ability. The more exposure it gets, the less disrespect it will get. Like, but it's just about people taking the chance and giving these girls an opportunity and a platform to play and to coach. Like, the more, and I think it goes back to what I said earlier, the more role models that these young girls see on TV or when they come, not just with us, but to any session and they see a girl coaching them or an older girl in the academy playing, like, that girl will be like, that could be me one day. And the more girls that see that, the better. And that's why we try, like, with our younger groups, it's not just football. Like, they'll come in, like, we try to give them a taste of football in like the younger age groups, but it's more like building their confidence, social interaction, like, learning how to strike a ball, learn all the basics. Just give them that taste of it. If they love it, great. There's the platform for them to go and play. If they don't love it, that's fine, as long as they've tried it. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, it's the same with boys and girls. Like, we do the same. 100%. Like, we don't treat it any different, if I'm honest. Like,
with what's going on in the world today, you know, like outside of football, you know, we're saying protect our women essentially. How important is it for you to like create a nice place where it's a balance, where young girls can come in and interact with young boys and young boys interact with young girls, but still make it calm to the point where they're respecting each other's boundaries and knowing that, you know, this is how you treat a young girl, this is how you use your manners. Like, how important is that for you?
Yeah, it's like, it's creating a safe space and a safe environment, like, for them to do that with people there that can regulate it and manage it and set the boundaries for them. Do you know what I mean? Like, it sounds silly, but I'm talking in my coach's voice now. But it sounds stupid, but it's like, if you set a safe environment for them and they've got role models there that they can look up to, and those role models set the boundaries for them, hopefully that they'll take that into their life. Like, it doesn't just stay within football. Do you know what I mean? It's like, all right, they can do this in their session, and we're teaching them, both boys and girls, how to treat each other correctly and with respect and everything. The more they get that shouldn't stop when they leave the session and when they get to school. It's like they're getting taught these fundamentals, these lessons at football. Hopefully, like, they take that into their life. Yeah, like, listen, it's a big part of what we've got to do. You got to set expectations. You got to set boundaries, and you just got to show them the right way to live and the right way to act. Because if no one's doing it, then we're just gonna keep living in this society. Do you know what I mean?
Cycle keeps going on. One question I wanted to ask is, like, what are the different coaching styles that you would use for men? I mean, young boys and young girls. Is it a thing where you have to have more patience with girls because like light hasn't been shed on the sport so much? It's like you have to take your time, help them understand that, you know, this is what it is to be a young girl playing football and things like that. Like,
the thing is, you'd think that, like, and we try and keep. If I'm honest, like, we don't do anything different. Genuinely, like, apart from when we're maybe dealing with them in terms of how, like, as they get older, boys and girls, they might react to certain coaching styles differently in terms of how much you're pushing them, how tough you can be on them, whatever. But in terms of anything else, we try and make, for us, it's normal that girls are playing football and boys are playing football. So we don't change the way we coach because it's normal for us. So whether you're a girl or you're a boy come in, we don't see a difference there. So we'll coach you exactly the same. We'll push you exactly the same. Obviously, as they get older, that's when we might start changing the way we talk differently, and stuff like that. In terms of coaching methods, we coach them exactly the same. Like the technical ability some of these girls have got, until you see it up close and personal, like in first hand, you wouldn't ever think it. Like we're lucky we get to see it every day. For people that don't, you might be like, oh, maybe you need to explain the game to them better. They know the game better than most boys do. Like it's crazy. Like they get to watch it every day now, which is good. Like there's girls football on TV. Like I know the Women's Super League just got a deal where they can run all of their games on Sky Sports and BBC and stuff. So it's gonna be on TV a lot more, which is great because that means girls are just gonna be watching it.
With how do I word this? So with like young girls, I'm trying to think how do I word this. Wait, now for me, I feel like these things should have happened a long time ago, and like some of the things that I hear with the way like women and young girls experience football, it's crazy. So with that being said, it's like when young girls are like in schools going into teams, like what are some of the basic fundamentals that you teach them when they're going into environments away from you, because they're not always going to be with you all the time. So when they're out of your reach, like what is it that you're telling them how to handle themselves when they're going about life? And also I wanted to ask on the boys side, how do you influence boys in terms of when they go to school? Because for me, when I was younger, if I misbehaved and my mom told my football coach, like she'll make me think I'm going to training to play football, but my coach is just making me sitting on the side for the whole session because I misbehaved in school. So do you 100%. Also impact the girls off the pitch in terms of schools and the guys off the pitch as well?
100%. So like I'd say with the boys and the girls, but let's talk about the girls at the moment. The one thing we try and instill is confidence in them. So like confidence in themselves. Like when they're going to school, they're demanding a place in the playground to play football as much as the boys are, and it's like that confidence within themselves. It's like they carry themselves a little bit differently. Like I want them to carry themselves not with a bit of arrogance, but with like a
sense of confidence.
Yeah, like with a spring in their step. Do you know what I mean? It's like, no, I kick ball. Like, do you know what I mean? So it's like, put me on and I'll kick ball. So that's what we try and instill in them. Like, and what you spoke about, and that's with the boys and the girls. It's like we say to all of them, the moment you put a pro elite top on, you got to carry yourself a different way. Like whether you're wearing it or not. Like the moment you sign for pro elite, you need to carry yourself a certain way.
What are some of the requirements that they need to carry themselves, like respect?
100%. So attitude, So attitude's number one. Like attitude's number one. Whether you're getting coached by us, whether you're at school, we always say to the parents, any problems at school, give us a call. Like any problems, and we make sure we have a word with them. And we've run free Zoom sessions every week since the start of the first lockdown for all of our kids. So like completely free, whoever wants to jump on, and we coach them for an hour. We do like free analysis sessions where we'll go on and we just watch football with them and break it down for them, whatever. At the end of each call, we'll say to them, by the way, if you ain't done your homework this week, don't expect to turn up for the call as in next week's call. Or we say to the parent, we know the parents are listening. Any problems at school, drop us an email, and if you don't want them taking part, let us know. And as soon as they come on, we're dealing with it. Like respect for their parents, respect for their teachers, respect for their peers, number one. Attitude in football is just as important as your ability. Like coaches and scouts and big clubs, they look for kids that, all right, one, are they gifted? Okay, number two, if they make a mistake, what's happening? If they lose the ball, what's happening? If they have a bad 5 minutes, what happens? The moment they see a kid he drops his head and he doesn't want to be involved for the rest of the game, the kid's not ready. Like, and that goes down to attitude. So it's like they're looking for players that, all right, you can misplace a pass. Are you looking to go and get the ball straight away after that? You might try to take the defender on and he tackles you. Are you trying again?
Yeah.
And if all of these answers are yes, they're going to look at you more favourable than like if you're not doing that. You could be the most gifted player. If you have anyone has a bad 5 minutes. Anyone can have a bad 5 minutes. If you react poorly, then they'll say to me, he's not ready at the moment. And I'm like, yeah, I agree. Do you know what I mean? And that carries on into their life. Like, there's going to be setbacks. There's going to be obstacles. Do you remain calm and deal with it? And do you know that you can just, you can get over that problem, or are you just going to let it eat you up? Do you know what I mean? So it's life and football. It's a balance with them.
That's beautiful. Earlier on, we congratulated you about your partnership deal with Crystal Palace. For those that are watching who are trying to build their own academy like yourself, how would they go about getting sponsors? Because everyone kind of needs sponsors to kind of help themselves in this current situation that we're in, the pandemic. So how best can they get like sponsorship deals?
Yeah. So I'd say my biggest bit of advice for that would be to build your own brand first. Like, make sure the brand is like bulletproof. Like, people should, if they come across any of your pages, or they come across your website or whatever, they get a sense of like, okay, these lot know what they're doing. These lot are like, I was gonna say, so these lot are, they know exactly what they're doing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Once your brand is strong, you can approach these people, and these people will approach you. Like, if you're making the right noise, people will approach you all the time, and people want to like they want to link up with you or whatever. But my biggest advice would be, make sure like whatever you're offering, like your service, your quality of your coaching is good.
Yeah.
Like, people don't want to get involved if the quality, like if I had money and I wanted to go and sponsor someone, the first thing I'd look for is, how good are they? Like, are they the best in their industry?
Yeah.
You got to aim to be the best in your industry. Like, your quality of your coaching has to be good. So I'd focus on that sort of stuff first. Make sure that's done. Once that's done, you can start looking to go and get sponsors. Now, sponsorships and like associations are a little bit different. Sponsorships could be like, you're just like introducing yourself to businesses, asking them if they can sponsor you, but you have to give them something in return. Like, what are they getting out of it? Ours, they get like social media coverage. They get on our YouTube channel, whatever. We can give them coverage that way. Yeah. If you haven't got that, build that first, and then you can offer them something. Because if you're sitting there and you've got budget to sponsor a football academy, you're not just going to go and give someone money if you're not going to get any return out of it. It's business at the end of the day. Do you know what I mean? So you've got to make sure you're giving them something that they can work with, and they'll be like, you know what, I'm going to get a return on this. And then once you're reaching out to them, and you can actually show them, you know what, you can get X, Y, and Z out of this. Like, we've got, like I said, 700 plus players signed at the moment. They get a newsletter sent every week. We put the sponsors on the newsletter. So it's like, that's 700 minimum parents that could be looking for your services. So it's like, we look for those sort of stuff. The association with Palace is a different thing.
Yeah.
Because that's like, obviously, Palace are a Premier League club. They're Cat 1 academy. They're doing massive things at the moment. They're building a new training ground. Like, I'm loving everything that's going on with them at the moment. I can
hear the excitement in your voice. Yeah. Every time you keep talking about it, you're smiling.
But you know why? Like, when I first started Pro Elite, I could never have imagined that.
Yeah.
I could never imagine getting a call and saying, let's associate with you. I'd have been like, what?
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Mind type of thing.
Yeah. So it's like, now that sort of stuff's happening, you look back and be like, all right, what did we do to get to that stage? And we've still got a long way to go. Like I said it before off air, we're still in its infancy. Like, I'm trying to grow it to new levels, but clubs like that will look for the quality of your coaching, the quality of your brand, and the quality of the players that you're producing at the end of the day. Like, they need to be able to think, all right, if this academy's got a gem, I don't have to send a scout to North London because they've got Ali on the phone that can pick up the phone and say, I've got this kid, or I played against this kid. But you only get like them sort of relationships, I suppose, when you've got your academy or whatever to a certain level where you're producing good players, where clubs are looking at your players often, your quality of your coaching is good and the quality of your brand's good. Like, if your club or your academy don't stand for anything, then why would these people want to like associate themselves with you, if that makes sense?
It sounds like you've gotten to the point where you've worked so hard now that your name's starting to work for you, which is brilliant here. Cause the way you said that, Palace said that I don't need to send a scout because I've got Ali on the phone. That's credit to you. But to round up the interview, I've really enjoyed it, man. And I hope everyone out there that wants to start their academy and their business can, look at you as a reference point, or even if they need pointers, they can hit you up. Which
hit me up.
Socials will be in below. But to round up, I want to know your top 3 managers of all time.
I'm not gonna like. For me, it's number 1 is on his own. Like, Pep Guardiola is on his own at the top, like by a country mile for me. And then number 2, they've got completely different coaching philosophies, but Jose Mourinho is my number 2. And then, even though I'm a Spurs fan, number 3 is Arsene Wenger.
Interview done.
Are we like... No, go on, you got to tell me yours now. What?
No Sir Alex Ferguson?
Nah, not for me.
Oh my days. 3 Champions Leagues.
Listen, I love Sir Alex. I'm talking about from a coaching standpoint. Like,
Arsene Wenger hasn't won a champion... Oh, you know what?
Arsene Wenger changed the English game. Like, we can have a whole interview on this if you want.
He has no Champions Leagues.
Wenger is like I said, I'm a Spurs fan, yeah. I hated his guts, but you can't, like, the guy went invincible in the Prem. Do you know how hard that is?
I would rather win 3 Champions League than go unbeaten in a season. That's a fact. And I'm pretty sure everyone agrees with me with that. Moving on to the last question. Hypothetically speaking, because you said you wanted to stay at youth level, if you were to turn pro, let's say for your beloved Spurs, your first team manager for Spurs, you know how you have your own backroom team? Would you put your dad up as assistant coach?
I used to chew it up like that. Would I have my dad? He wouldn't be my number 2, but he'd be in charge of the fitness or like man management or fines or something like that because he's tough.
You know when pre-season comes and
yeah. I just send him out and they're running.
Nah. It's been brilliant chopping it up with you guys. I can't wait to see the end result of your association deal with Crystal Palace. Like I said, guys, make sure you hit him up if you want to get a few pointers, if you need help. Hopefully you guys liked the episode. You enjoyed. Like, comment, subscribe, share with your family and friends. Turn on your post notifications, and we'll catch you guys in the near future. Stay safe, stay blessed. Peace.